Guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about, is working at home as a medical coder a good idea for stay-at-home parents? If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Okay, guys. So I got a comment the other day from a viewer that says that she's been watching my videos periodically because she's really interested in pursuing medical billing and coding, but she wants to do it solely for the purpose of being able to work from home so she can take care of her kids. Is this a good idea, she asks, because she doesn't know what to do or which way to go. I will say this, okay? If the only reason that you are wanting to pursue medical billing and coding is so that you can stay at home and work from home, either raise your kids or for whatever other reason that you want to come up with, if working remotely is the only reason, like one of your top three, that you want to do this, you should not pursue this. Now, I'm not saying that people can never work at home remotely. Please don't misunderstand what I'm telling you. People can work from home eventually. But when you are brand new, you do not need to work at home remotely. It is very difficult, number one, to learn everything that we need to learn as medical coders in order to start and in just to be competent in understanding what you're reading. You're not going to understand 100% of the things that you're reading, but at least to have a good grasp, it takes a lot. It's a lot of front end learning that you're doing. So you're investing a lot of time and energy into learning this. And people think that, these schools are going to sell the most flashiest thing that they can, if they're going to try to draw you in with working remotely because, oh, you are stay-at-home mom, this is how you can make money. I'm not saying that you can't, but what I'm saying is your road is going to be exponentially harder to go down because of the simple fact that you are going to be working remotely in a brand new career field for a lot of you, not having any experience at all in the electronic health record. So you're going to have to learn that. On top of that, this is your first job in medical coding. So it's not the greatest idea coming in. And some people think that, well, if I can stay home, I don't have to pay for daycare and I can just watch my kids. Well, if your kids are really little, you're going to need to spend time taking care of them, which is going to take you away from working. And when you're working, even though there's no camera on me, but they have ways of monitoring your productivity. They can monitor how long you've been in a particular record. They can look and see your keystrokes and everything. Your mouse, if it's moving, they can see that. So there's lots of ways that technology can help them to monitor your productivity. But if you're having to stop and run to go take care of the kids, come back, try to get into it, when you're reading something, especially something that is as complex as health information, it takes concentration. And on top of that, I'm not saying this to scare you, I'm telling you the truth. When you're working remotely, your productivity is higher. They have higher standards for people who are working remotely. Why? Because they expect you to not be disturbed. They expect you to be able to focus on what you're doing. So your productivity is going to be way higher than somebody who has to go into an office. Now, again, when you're brand new and you're starting to learn the electronic health record, do you think that you're going to have to ask questions because you're not going to understand something? Absolutely. Who's not going to be available to answer your questions? The people that hired you, your lead or your supervisor. They're not going to be able to answer all of your questions at the drop of a hat every time you have a question. And you might get stuck on something. You might get stuck on a step in the electronic health record, or you may be stuck on the record itself because you don't know what to select, or something happened, or something's not crossing over, or you forgot a step, or whatever the case may be. You're not going to have somebody right there to help you. So if you're asking me, should you pursue this because you don't know because you say that you want to do this just to do remote, I would say no, don't do it, because there's too much that you have to do in order to get there. Okay? Because once you get to the school is one part of the whole program. Getting through the school, completing your program, then passing your exam. Some people have to take the exam a few times. If you're studying like you're supposed to, that number of times goes down to practically one. Okay, so it all depends. But if you're not putting in the time to study beforehand, like the 20 hours per week, like I tell y'all to all the time, and studying like the full 9 months, 12 months, or 18 months, it's going to take you a few tries because you're not going to understand what you're doing, especially if you're trying to rush through and you're trying to complete one of these little programs that's only 4 months, or heaven forbid only 6 months. It's just ridiculous. People think that they can just cattle herd coders into the real world because they completed a program and they get a certificate that says that they learned medical billing and coding. No. If you have not spent the time to study, if your exam does not require medical coding manuals, you are not prepared. What you took was, and I'm not even going to mention the name of that certificate, which I cannot even stand, because you have our duties in your name. However, it doesn't have there's no books required for that exam. Please, that's not an exam. That is a memorization test. Anybody could pass that. Okay, so that's not even what employers are looking for either. Okay, there's 4 that employers are looking for: the CCS, the Gold Standard of Medical Coding Credentials, the CCA, the CCSP, all with the American Health Information Management Association, or the CPC, which is a flagship credential from AAPC, the American Academy of Professional Coders. Employers are looking for one of these 4. Okay, you only need one. All right, for my new people, all you need is one. But if you're going to do all of this schooling, you're going to finally pass your test. I see a lot of times on LinkedIn, especially because I'm on LinkedIn. If I had a choice, would I be on LinkedIn? No. But, when you have an audience like I do that will harangue you until you do what they want, I got onto LinkedIn. Well, on LinkedIn, there's a lot of people that apparently just don't watch my channel, say they watch the channel, but don't follow what I'm suggesting because they're over here on LinkedIn complaining that they're new, that they can't find a job, and then they want a remote job. Does anybody have any part-time remote or any remote jobs? This is not a field where you can come in and just demand what you want. And so again, for my people that are coming in thinking, I'm a stay-at-home parent and I just want to work part-time remotely. This is not something that you can just walk right into. You have to earn your stripes just like everybody else did, all right? And after a while, when you've gotten experience, then absolutely, you can, go forth and do great things. But until then, you're going to be just like everybody else, okay? You're going to have that time around other coders. It's very valuable experience for new people to get around other people that are new coders, okay? Now, I know on the East Coast, West Coast, there's a spaces at a premium. So sometimes it's very difficult to find in-person work. But again, if your only focus is remote, and you're not even trying to get in-person first, that's where it becomes a problem. Because again, when you are trying to work remotely right out of the gate, they're going to expect you to be able to stand on your own 2 feet, which a lot of new coders cannot do because they don't know everything. And heaven forbid they go through a horrible medical coding program and they spent all this money and they're in it now. They're in the weeds now, so they've got to go through it. But then again, if they're not studying, if they're not doing all these things so they can help themselves to learn, that's when they're not able to meet productivity. You can't meet accuracy, and it's just so overwhelming with the electronic health record. That's when it becomes a big mess. And then people tend to give up after that. If they don't get what they want really quickly, they give up. And they say, well, I need a job. Well, I understand that. Everybody does. But at the same time, let's set ourselves up for success. Try to be in a place where you have to physically go first. And you don't have to stay there forever. You could stay there just a few months, like 6 months or so, just so that you can kind of get some grounding. You can meet other people that are coders, and so that way you can build your network of people who can help you when you get stuck and you have questions, and maybe you can't go to your supervisor or you can't go to a lead medical coder. You have somebody to reach out to. The first time I started working remotely, I was 6 years into my career. 6 years in, all right? 5 or 6 years in. And at that time, again, having all of that experience and working for a level 1 trauma hospital. So this meant that I was coding for very, very complex cases. And I worked in the evening. So during the day, even though they say you're not supposed to skip over records, people have ways of skipping over records and they're still able to go undetected. I know because it happened to me. The day shift was so busy skipping over the really hard stuff that by the time I got on, all I had was the hard stuff. But what happened was I learned really quickly how to navigate through the hard stuff. And now the hard stuff is nothing for me. It's easy because I know how to do it. I know how to work and look at the information and, of course, abstract the diagnosis or the procedures. And it's not a big deal. But at first, when it was happening, had I been somebody brand new off the street and, oh my gosh, I don't even know what the heck I'm doing, right? And then I can't imagine somebody that has no experience coming in there and saying, oh my gosh, what the heck is this? I never learned this in school. And that's when your time with that facility or that organization is going to be very short because you did it to yourself. You got into a position before you had the time in and experience in. And I will say this also. Right now, this is an employer's market. So the employers are the ones that are calling the shots, not you. This is not like years ago in 2020, right? When all of that happened and everybody was working at home. Employers had no choice back then, okay? Because they still needed to hire people. But even before 2020 happened, if you did not have any experience working in coding at all, you were never going to work at home. And that was before 2020. 2020 happened, they had no choice. Everybody had to be at home. So they did what they had to do. But now everybody's going back to the office, and some places are still working a hybrid, and some places, okay, we're remote, it's a remote company, but they're able to say, you know what, we're not hiring any brand new people. We are only hiring experienced workers. And if you think that these headhunters are going to help you to find a job, and they're posting, oh, this company's hiring, and they, you must have this much experience and that kind of thing, and you're trying to apply through this headhunter, and they keep telling you no, and sometimes they'll just ghost you after a while because they have listed all the things that they want. It is because this headhunter, it is different when you're applying directly with the organization themselves. But if you're trying to apply with a headhunter and you keep harassing them, why won't you answer me? Why are you ghosting me? Why won't you talk to me? Because the headhunter is going to be paid by that organization to bring them exactly what they want. If they cannot bring them exactly what they want, that organization is not going to pay that headhunter. So they have they owe you nothing to try to help you get a job. This is why I keep telling you all that if there is a job listing that is opening at a hospital, at a dialysis center, or like a laboratory, like labs, like Quest and that kind of thing, any kind of urgent care centers, if they have openings, you go to the career page on their website and you see all the openings that they have there, and then you're able to apply with them that way. That's what I'm talking about, because they'll say must have 3 to 5 years. Ignore the 3 to 5 years, okay? Ignore the 3 to 5 years and still apply anyway. If you have a great resume, you have a better chance of getting through. If your resume stinks, which a lot of new people, I'm going to be straight and honest with you, the crap that I see on LinkedIn, absolutely not. And you're wondering why you don't get a job? You're wondering why they're not calling you back? You're wondering why you can't get hired remotely? Let me tell you something. I write resumes, and I'm never guaranteeing my resume work. However, I will say that even people who have come to me and said, well, Blue, I want to work remote, but I understand what you're saying, so I'm going to put this resume that you put together for me out to these places that are even in person. Well, then I get messages back that say, Blue, I got a job working remotely. And sometimes it's because they didn't know they were going to get a remote job because the job listing did not mention remote. It just said that they were looking for coders. When they applied, that's when they found out that they were going to be working remotely. So they had no control over that. But they were still able to get in and do it that way. But what I'm saying is, when they did listen to my advice and they did put out a good resume, whether it was from me or from watching my videos and updating the resume themselves, they're able to get work. So can you. But again, when you are going to go that remote route, your road is going to be harder. And especially if you've got little ones in the house that you have to take care of and watch and feed and constantly attend to, you're not going to have the time or the bandwidth to watch this, to do what you need to do your work. And no, you cannot make up the time later, because if you are logging in when you are not supposed to be, it's technically a HIPAA violation, because why were you there and you weren't supposed to be? You're not supposed to be working during these weird hours. You're supposed to be on the clock when you're supposed to be on the clock. And another thing, when people will say, well, I only want to work certain hours, again, asking for something that you haven't even earned yet. There are some places that will let you work whatever, they'll let you set your hours, but there are some places that will not, and a lot of them will not, because they want you to be available when the provider is there, so that way if the provider has questions, you can answer, or somebody in the department can answer. Okay, so maybe it's not always the coder, but it'll be somebody in that department that will be able to answer for the provider if they have a question. So that's just, again, what I'm trying to tell you guys is that if you think coming into this career field that it's going to be so easy for you to start working remotely, there are so many more factors that go into this. You have to treat working at home like you're going to the office, meaning that you have to have a secure area. You cannot have your kids looking at your computer screen. It doesn't matter how old they are. I actually had a lady who got upset with me because she said that it's so stupid that it's a HIPAA violation. I have an 8-year-old, and if she saw it, that it would be a HIPAA violation. HIPAA doesn't matter the age, okay? If somebody is exposed to that electronic health record that they're not supposed to be looking at it, then that's the thing. That's the whole point of protecting health information, period. There's not, oh, it's only applying to 18 and over. So as she said in her example with her 8-year-old looking at it, at 8 years old, they can already start to say things, okay? They know how to formulate sentences, they can read, you know what I'm saying? So again, it doesn't matter what you think. This is the law. The law requires us as health information professionals, medical coders, medical billers, to protect health information, period. Your computer screen has to be facing a wall where no one can come up behind you and look at your computer screen. Did you know that when you're working remotely? You have to be in a secure area. There was a one lady that she was posting her area. She was so proud of herself. First job working remotely. And she's like, look everybody, look at my desk area. Had her computer screen out to the living room where anybody could walk up behind her. Had her computer screen where people could look in her glass sliding doors and see exactly what she was doing. There was no screen protector on there. I said, you need to have your computer screen facing a wall. She didn't like that. I don't care what you like or what you don't like. I'm trying to keep you from violating HIPAA. And this is the way that it's supposed to be, because you don't know who is looking at that record other than you, especially if you have these computers in such a vulnerable position. These screens that you're looking at. Okay? So your kids should not be looking at your computer screen. You need to keep the information protected at all times. You cannot be running back and forth to go feed them, to go do all these things. You are working. If you're going on your break, that's one thing. But we know that it's real easy for stuff to get, the time gets lost track of, right? You lose track of time. That's what I'm trying to say. You lose track of time. You get busy, you get distracted on something, and then all of a sudden your work is suffering. They're not paying you to take care of your kids. They're paying you to work. Okay? So, again, don't pursue this if that's the only reason that you're going to do it, because there's so much that you have to do. But if you are willing, hear me when I say this, if you are willing to go through all of this, no, Blue, I really want to do this. I really want to make a go of this. I promise I won't let my kids are older and they can take care of themselves, and I really want to do this for me, and I don't want to give up on this goal just yet that I have for myself, so I'll do it this way. Okay, good. Try to get in some place where you can get that exposure to other coders. You can get that online, you can get that training from somebody in person, because it's a lot easier. Okay? It's a lot easier for you. But, I mean, again, there's going to be people that are going to be upset with whatever I say anyway. I don't care. I really don't. I want people to be successful. And if that's upsetting to you, well, there's other things to be upset about. But whatever. What can you do? I can't do anything other than tell you that I really wish I would stop getting those messages of, oh, I want to work at home. I want to work at home immediately. That's not why I'm here. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to tell you about the career field. That's why I'm here. I'm here to help it make it a little bit easier for you when it comes to, okay, this is how you study. This is what you're supposed to study. This is what can happen when you're in an interview. These are some tips for your interview. All the other things about how to get better with your specialty, how to increase your speed, how to do all these things. If you just look through my videos, you'll see all of that. It's not about selling the field. I have never, ever been about selling the field. And anybody who comes to me who says, well, no, because I want to do this because I want to work remotely, there's other things that you can do. There's a lot of other things that you can do. Not just this. If you really want to do all of that, is so ridiculous. Oh my gosh. If you really want to do something, there's other things that you can pursue that's doing digital stuff online. You know what I'm saying? Like you can do whatever it is that you want to do. You know, some people do online marketing, they do all that kind of stuff. You know, so there's things that you can do that's not this. That's not going to require you to invest your time to learn. That's not going to require you to make sure that everything is secure. That is not going to give you a challenge when you're trying to find your first job. This will. It will throw everything it can at you. This career field will throw everything that it can at you to make you want it. But if you want it, well, then you need to do your part, okay? And that includes that you will do your best to work someplace first. And again, I say, you don't have to stay there forever. 6 months would be great, just so that you can build your network and you can get to know people in the industry and you can get that experience around others. But again, I understand if you're in a place where everything is remote, but sometimes I think some of y'all are just telling me that because you're not looking for anything else, okay? Not every place is, oh, it has to be remote. No, there's plenty of places that are still in person. I'm just saying. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. But at the end of the day, I would say if this is your only reason and you're a stay-at-home parent, don't pursue this. Don't let that be the only reason that you pursue this, because trust me, that's not going to be enough. It will not be enough to sustain you, especially when you are trying to find your first job and you're going to keep running into those roadblocks, because they're going to want you to have experience. How am I supposed to get experience if no one will hire me? Well, guess everybody is doing the remote route. Guess who still needs coders? And guess where it's going to be a lot easier for you to find a job first? In person, right? So when you find something in person and then you gain that experience and you can put that onto your resume so that you can start working remotely, there's going to be where it builds a better career foundation, rather than you just immediately right out of the gate, this is the only reason that I'm pursuing this. It will not sustain you because of everything that you have to learn and that you continue to have to learn. Because it doesn't just stop when you get your certification. You still have to learn. Every year we have to report. Every 2 years, we all have a 2-year reporting cycle where you have to report CEUs, continuing education units, every year in order to maintain these credentials. If you don't, your credential will be revoked because you didn't do what you were supposed to do, which is continually educate. I'm just saying, yourself. I'm just saying. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this on up. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see you all next time. Bye.